The Patriot Act was enacted hastily in 2001 as America struggled to fight back from the September 11th terror attacks.
These terrorists must be pursued, they must be defeated, and they must be brought to justice. And that is the purpose of this legislation. We're dealing with terrorists who operate by highly sophisticated methods and technologies, some of which were not even available when our existing laws were written. It will help law enforcement to identify, to dismantle, to disrupt, and to punish terrorists before they strike. For example, this legislation gives law enforcement officials better tools to put an end to financial counterfeiting, smuggling, and money laundering. Secondly, it gives intelligence operations and criminal investigations the chance to operate not on separate tracks, but to share vital information so necessary to disrupt a terrorist attack before it occurs. We're changing the culture of our various agencies that fight terrorism. Finally, the new legislation greatly enhances the penalties that will fall on terrorists or anyone who helps them. The elected branches of our government and both political parties are united in our resolve to find and stop and punish those who would do harm to the American people.
In the wake of 9/11, Congress passed the Patriot Act. Now, some see it as an essential part of the war against terror. Others are calling it an infringement of our rights. Here,
there is a growing mood to say, look, you know, parts of this are fine, but parts of it may have gone too far.
The legislation should be based not upon evanescent fears, hyperbole, and hysteria, but rather upon what's actually happening.
Just hours before it was set to expire, the controversial U.S. Patriot Act was given new life and will be extended for another 4 years. In 2005, Senator Barack Obama even pushed for the act to be reformed.
We don't have to settle for a Patriot Act that sacrifices our liberties or our safety. We can have one that secures both.
As the Patriot Act was implemented, Democrats and civil liberty groups protested. They claimed the White House under President Bush and supported by conservative Republicans was transforming the U.S. into a police state. But most Democrats on Capitol Hill only seemed to revile the Patriot Act when Republicans controlled the White House. Now, 10 years later, with a Democrat in the Oval Office, they're no longer complaining about the expansion of police powers stifling civil liberties. In fact, it's just the opposite. Even though he spent years arguing the Patriot Act must be reformed, Democrat Harry Reid is now using his power as Senate leader to rush an extension of 3 of the most controversial provisions in the act through the legislative process after just days of debate.
The Patriot Act is about protecting our homeland, and we're going to continue doing that.
In fact, just one junior Republican senator led the objections against the act.
We're all concerned about terrorism too, but we don't think you have to give up your liberties in order to combat terrorism.
Still, in a Congress usually divided equally along party lines, a majority of Democrats who once promised to reform the Patriot Act instead this time voted with their Republican rivals.
At least 42 terrorist attacks aimed at the United States have been thwarted since 9/11. Tools like the Patriot Act have been instrumental in finding and stopping terrorists. Shouldn't we have a long-range extension of the investigative powers contained in that act so that our law enforcement officers can have the tools that they need?
I'm not aware of any specific change it needs, and I'd look at strengthening it because I think the dangers are literally that great. You start thinking about one nuclear weapon in one American city and the scale of loss of life, and you ask yourself, what should the president be capable of doing to stop that?
I think the Patriot Act is unpatriotic because it undermines our liberty. I'm concerned, as everybody is, about the terrorist attack. Timothy McVeigh was a vicious terrorist. He was arrested. Terrorism, still on the books, internationally and nationally, is a criminal. It's a crime, and we should deal with it. We dealt with it rather well with Timothy McVeigh. I have a personal belief that you never have to give up liberty for security. You can still provide security without sacrificing our Bill of Rights.
I don't want a law that says, after we lose a major American city, we're sure going to come and find you. I want a law that says, you try to take out an American city, we're going to stop you.